God Channel by Koichi Uchiyama. Now, if you please, join me in a prayer. To those who have come to my place, may I have your name? It's Edison. Thank you for coming, sincerely. It's been a while. I hope to hear your words. Thank you very much.
I am sure I must be quite famous among you all. However, when I was alive, I don't think I had the same image as I do now. Certainly, I was eccentric, very eager in my research, adept at immersing myself in my own world. Once I started, I couldn't see anything else around me, and I didn't care much about my school grades. There were things I could do and things I couldn't, and what I wasn't good at was completely hopeless for me. And I was often ridiculed, teased, and laughed at by those around me. That sort of thing happened frequently. But you see, the key is to keep going no matter what anyone says. I pursued what I believed in relentlessly, even if I failed again and again, conducting experiments repeatedly, boldly taking on challenges. And I always believed this would succeed, so no matter how many times I failed, I didn't consider it a failure, but rather felt I was one step closer to success. But to others, it probably looked like I just kept failing. Meanwhile, others were moving on to different research, making different presentations. At times, I felt left behind. I felt overtaken. But I didn't let it bother me. I had a sense of self that wasn't swayed by how well others wrote papers or how successfully they conducted experiments. I was deeply immersed in my own world, and in that sense, being adept at diving into my own world paid off. Usually, people give up around this point, but I didn't, and I think that was good. I didn't have any desire for fame. I just wanted to pursue what I believed in and exhaustively pursue it. That's all it was. If this physical world were to conform to what I imagine, I would have an unshakable belief that everything would go perfectly. So, I could redo it over and over again. And in the end, the experiment succeeded on the last attempt. At times, my efforts were rewarded all at once. What I had been doing up until then ceased to be any effort at all. Just like the pieces in a game of Othello flipping from black to white, my entire life up to that point looked radiant. That's how it is. So, to today's youth, regarding what you believe in, I want to say, hold on to your convictions firmly and pursue them vigorously. Don't give up. In most cases, people give up midway to success. That's what usually happens. So, if there were hardly any quitters, science and technology on this planet would undoubtedly be more advanced. That's for sure. It's probably because there are so many quitters that we're stuck at the current level. If you think about it, even though there's so much potential in each of you, you're giving up on it yourselves. I want to say that human effort is lacking. Nowadays, it seems everyone thinks extraterrestrial technology is amazing, but the potential to develop such things on Earth was there from the start. If there weren't jealousy among Earthlings, you would have been able to freely travel to any era long ago and even fly to other celestial bodies as much as you wanted. But there's no denying that human envy and resignation are limiting Earth's scientific and technological progress. What one human can discover or invent is limited. So, if many people vigorously pursued one thing each, there's a good chance we could scientifically understand how the pyramids were built by now. But because there's resignation, we're stuck at the current level. In that sense, To raise the overall potential of humanity, it's necessary first to cultivate the mental strength of each individual, fostering a never-give-up attitude, a spirit of inquiry, and a heart that doesn't envy. If you can expand these more and more, not only will individuals grow, but humanity as a whole will achieve remarkable development. Then we can understand how earthquakes occur, how volcanoes erupt, and humans can control them and live better lives. I've only made one small discovery, but if many people fully utilize their talents, a greater future society can be created. Have you ever thought about that? Are you merely thinking, he accomplished it because he's Edison? You can do it too. Pursue your inherent talents to the fullest. Pursue your interests thoroughly. And with a never-give-up attitude, no envy of others, and pure feelings, you can definitely do it. I understand that trying to forcefully develop talents that aren't inherently yours can be difficult. At that time, it might be better to give up to some extent. That's true, I think. But in most cases, in almost all cases, people give up and withdraw. If you think about that, you might realize how much of Earth's assets each individual is losing. Has anyone ever calculated it? If you think about that, if each person pursued just one thing continuously and led it to success, how much % increase in capacity would there be overall? Would science advance? Would human lifespan be able to live longer in good health? When you think about that, it's nothing but a dream. That's what I think. Today, I talked a bit with this kind of tension. Keep up the good work.
How did you feel after watching the video? Edison's words about jealousy and resignation really hit home, don't they? It's quite challenging indeed. We often find ourselves comparing to colleagues or friends, leading to self-doubt and feelings of inadequacy. Even when we work hard, if the results don't show, it's easy to feel disheartened. Being told to simply rid ourselves of jealousy and resignation seems a bit daunting. Why do we harbor jealousy? Perhaps it stems from childhood experiences, like being compared to friends. Do you remember being compared to a classmate who excelled academically while you struggled? How do you feel about what your parents said back then, now that you're an adult? Academic success is just a small part of what we should learn in life, and if it's not our forte, then our grades might suffer. Edison himself didn't care much about school grades, yet he became a symbol of genius in modern times. It's likely that from a young age, we develop a habit of comparing ourselves to others in order to maintain our social standing. Hence, we become overly concerned with how others perceive us and may feel jealous of those who excel. However, Edison made a remarkable turnaround. None of his colleagues became more famous than him. He pursued his own path without jealousy or resignation. It would be great if we could approach things with such an attitude. But as Edison also cautioned, it's wise not to blindly pursue talents we don't naturally possess. Knowing when to give up, once we've done our best, is also a form of wisdom. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.
Thomas Edison, the inventor of the phonograph, has never before permitted his voice to be recorded for the public. Today, however, he has a message for you that is important enough to cause him to break his long-established rule. Mr. Edison will now give you that message. I beg to introduce Mr. Thomas A. Edison.
This is Edison speaking. Our boys made good in France. The word American has a new meaning in Europe. Our soldiers have made it mean courage, generosity, self-restraint, and modesty. We are proud of the North Americans who risked their lives for the liberty of the world. But we must not forget, and we must not permit demagogues to belittle the part played by our gallant allies. Their casualty lists tell the story. However proud we may be of our own achievements, let us remember always that the war could not have been won if the Belgians, the British, the French, and the Italians had not fought like bulldogs in the face of overwhelming odds. The Great War will live vividly in the minds of Americans for the next 100 years. I hope that when we do reverence to the memory of our brave boys who fell in France, we shall not forget their brothers in arms who wore the uniform of our allies. I believe that the national airs of France, Great Britain, Italy, and Belgium should for all time to come be as familiar to us as our own Star-Spangled Banner.